Hey kids. I'm having a dance party while I'm waiting for people to sign in. All right. Got some people joining. Hi guys. Give it a couple more seconds for people to sign on. Hello, Coin. Hello, Mother. Oh, and even our Shadow Sis showed up. That's cool. I don't have the beautiful elf queen voice that Selena has, so you'll have to deal with it, my New Mexican pigeon. Okay, so I'm May. I'm the Keeper of the Chronicles and head of the Brown Aja at Weaves of the Wheel, as most of you probably know. And I'm going to be picking up where Selena left off yesterday, in the middle of chapter 1. Oh, thanks, Mom. You know, I'm really self-conscious about it. So, yesterday she basically got through just kind of getting an idea of what their town looks like. So I will pick up, if you would like to follow along in your neighborhood paperback. We're starting on page 11. I'll just start at the top, rehash a tiny bit. We're in the middle of an empty road. Beltane was supposed to come when spring had well and truly arrived, when the first lambs poured and the first crop up. Even with the cold hanging on, though no one had any idea of putting it off. Everyone could use a little singing and dancing. On top of everything, if the rumors could be believed, a grand display of fireworks was planned for the green, if the first peddler of the year had arrived in time, of course. That had been causing considerable talk. It was 10 years since the last such display, and it was still talked about. The Wine Spring Inn stood at the east end of the green, hard beside the wagon bridge. The first floor of the inn was river rock, though the foundation was of older stone. Sunset came from the mountains. The whitewashed second story, where Brandywin Alvear, the innkeeper and mayor of Emmonsfield for the past 20 years, lived in the back with his wife and daughters, jutted out over the lower floor the way around. Red roof tile, the only such roof in the village, glittered in the weak sunlight, and smoke drifted from 3 of the inn's dozen tall chimneys. At the south end of the inn, away from the stream, stretched the remains of a much larger stone foundation, once part of the inn, so it was said. A huge oak grew out of the middle of it now, with a bole 30 paces around and spreading branches as thick as a man. In the summer, Bran Alvear set tables and benches under those branches, shady with leaves then, where the people could enjoy a cup and a cooling breeze, while they talked and perhaps set out a board of games for stones. I messed that up, who cares? But here we are, lad. Tam reached for Bella's harness, but she stopped in front of the inn before his hand touched leather. Knows the way better than I do, he chuckled. As the last creak of the axle faded, Bran Alvear appeared from the inn, seeming as always to step too lightly for a man of his girth, nearly double that of anyone else in the village. A smile split his round face, which was topped by a sparse fringe of gray hair. The innkeeper was in his shirt-sleeves, despite the chill, with a spotless white apron wrapped around him. A silver medallion in the form of a set of balance scales hung on his chest. A medallion, along with full-size set of scales used to weigh the coins of the merchants who came down from Verlon for wool and tobacco, was the symbol of the mayor's office. Bran only wore it for dealing with the merchants and for festivals, feast days, and weddings. He had it on a day early now, but that night was winter night, the night before Beltane, when everyone would visit back and forth almost the whole night long. One would exchanging small gifts, having a bite to eat, and to touch and drink at every house. After the winter, Rand thought, he probably considers winter night excuse enough not to wait until tomorrow. Tam, the mayor shouted as he hurried towards them. The lights shine on me, it's good to see you at last. And you, Rand, how are you, my boy? Fine, Master Elvire, Rand said. And you, sir? But Brand's attention was already back on Tam. I was almost beginning to think you wouldn't be bringing your brandy this year. You never waited so late before. I have no liking for leaving the farm these days, Bran, Tam replied. Not with the wolves the way they are, and the weather. Bran harumphed. I could wish somebody wanted to talk about something else beside the weather. Everyone complains about it, and folks should know better. Expect me to set it right. I just spent 20 minutes explaining to the Mistress Aldonal that I can do nothing about the storks, but what she expected me to do. He shook his head. An ill omen, a scratchy voice announced. No storks nesting on the rooftops at Beltane. Sen Bowie, his gnarled and dark as an old root, marched up to Tam and Bran and leaned on his walking staff, ear as tall as he was and just as gnarled. He tried to fix both men once with a beady eye. There's worse to come, you mark my words. Have you become a soothsayer then, interpreting omens? Tam asked dryly. Or do you listen to the wind like a wisdom? Certainly enough of it, some originating not far from here. Mock if you will, Sen muttered. But it doesn't warm enough. If it doesn't warm enough for crops to spout soon, more than one root cellar will come up empty before there's a harvest. By next winter, there may not be anything left in the two rivers but wolves and ravens. If it is winter at all. If it is next winter at all, maybe it'll still be this winter. Now what's that supposed to mean? Bran said sharply. Sen gave them a sour look. I have not much good to say about Nynaeve Almira. You know what? You know that. Don't talk about her that way. I'm distracted. For one thing, she's too young to... No matter. The women's circle seems to object to the village council even talking about their business. Therefore, though they interfere with ours as often as they want to, which is most of the time, or so it seems so. Sen, Tam broke in. Is there a point to this? That is the point, Althor. Ask the wisdom when the winter will end, and she walks away. Maybe she doesn't want to tell us what she hears on the wind. Maybe what she hears is that winter won't end. And maybe it's just going to go on being winter until the wheel turns and the age ends. There's your point. Maybe sheep will fly, Tam reported. And Bran threw up his hands. The light protect me from them, from fools. You sitting on the village council, Sen. And now you're spreading that Copland talk. Well, you listen to me. We've had enough problems without... A quick tug at Rand's sleeve, and a voice pitched slow, for his ear alone distracted him from the older men's talk. Come on, Rand, while they're arguing before they put you to work. Rand glanced down and had to grin. Matt Cawthon, oh, that boy, crouched beside the cart so Tam and Bran and Sen could not see him, his wiry body contorted like a stork trying to bend itself double. Matt's brown eyes twinkled with mischief as usual. Dav and I caught a big old badger, all grouchy and being pulled out of his den. We're going to let it loose on the garden and watch the girls run. Rand's smile broadened. It did not sound like as much fun to him as it would a year or two back, but Matt never seemed to grow up. He took a quick look at his father. The men had their heads together still, and all three talking at once, and then lowered his voice. I promised to unload the cider. I can meet you later, though. Matt rolled his eyes skyward. Toting barrels, burn me. I'd rather pay with stones with my baby sister. Well, I know of better things than a badger. We have strangers in the two rivers. Last evening, for an instant, Rand stopped breathing. A man on horseback? He asked intently. A man in a black coat, on a black horse? His cloak doesn't move in the wind? Matt swallowed his grin, and his voice dropped to an even hoarser whisper. You saw him too? I thought I was the only one. Don't laugh, Rand, but it scared me. I'm not laughing. He scared me too. I could swear he hated me the way he wanted to kill me. Rand shivered. Till that day, he'd never thought of anyone wanting to kill him. Really wanting to kill him. That sort of thing just did not happen in the Two Rivers. A fist fight maybe, or a wrestling match, but not killing. I don't know about hating Rand, but he was scary enough anyway. All he did was sit on his horse looking at me just outside the village, but I've never been so frightened in my life. Well, I looked away just for a moment. It wasn't easy, mind you. Then I looked back and he'd vanished. Blood and ashes. 3 days it's been, I can hardly stop thinking about him. I keep looking over my shoulder. Matt attempted a laugh that came out as a croak. Funny how being scared takes you. You think strange things. I actually thought, just for a minute, might be the Dark One. He tried another laugh, but no sound came out this time. Rand took a deep breath, as much to remind himself as for any other reason. But he said by rote, "The Dark One and all of the Forsaken are bound in Sheol Gul beyond the Great Blight, bound by the Creator at the moment of creation, bound until the end of time. And the hand of the Creator shelters the world, and light shines on us all." He drew another breath and went on. "Besides, if he was free, what would the Shepherd of the Night be doing in the Two Rivers watching farm boys? I don't know. But I don't know who that rider was evil. Don't laugh. I'll take an oath on it. Maybe he was the dragon." "You're full of cheerful thoughts, aren't you?" Rand muttered. "You sound worse than Sen." "My mother always said the Forsaken would come to me if I didn't mind my ways. And if I ever saw anybody who looked like a Shamael or Agenor, it was him." "Everybody's mother scared them with the Forsaken," he said dryly. "Most grow out of it. Why not the Shadow Man while you're at it?" Matt glared at him. "I haven't been so scared since..." "No, I've never been that scared. I don't mind admitting it." "Me either. My father thinks I was jumping at shadows into the trees." Matt nodded glumly and leaned back against the cartwheel. "So does my Da. I told Dav and Elam Dowtree. They've been watching like hawks ever since, but they haven't seen anything. Now Elam thinks I was trying to trick him. Dav thinks he's down from Terran Fair. Let's try that again. Dav thinks he's down from Tarn Ferry, a sheep stealer or a chicken thief. A chicken thief!" He laughed into affronted silence. "It's probably all foolishness anyway," Rand said finally. "Maybe he's just a sheep stealer." I tried to picture it, but it was like picturing a wolf taking the cat's place in front of a mouse hole. "Well, I don't like the way you looked at me. Neither did you, not if how you jumped at me is any guide. We have to tell someone. We already have, Matt, both of us, and we weren't believed. Can you imagine how I'd convince Master Alvier about this fellow without even seeing him? He'd send us off to Nynaeve to see if we were sick. There are two of us now. No one could ever believe we both had imagined it." Rand rubbed the top of his head briskly, wondering what to say. Matt was something of a byword around the village. Few people had escaped his pranks. Now his name came up whenever a wash line dropped the laundry in dirt, or a loose saddle girth deposited a farmer on the road. Matt did not even have to be anywhere around. His sport might be worse than none. After a moment, Rand said, "Your father would believe you put me up to it, and mine..." He looked over the cart to where Tam and Bran and Sen had been talking, and found himself staring his father in the eyes. The mayor was still lecturing Sen, who was now taking it in sullen silence. "Good morning, Matrim," Tam said brightly, hefting one of the brandy casks onto the side of the cart. "I see you've come help Rand to unload the cider. Good lad." Matt leapt to his feet, and the first word he began packing away. "Good morning to you, Master Althor, and to you, Master Alvier, Master Buey. May the light shine on you. My Da sent me to..." "No doubt he did," Tam said. "And no doubt, since you are a lad who does his chores right off, you've finished the task already. Well, the quicker you lads can get the cider into Master Alvier's cellar, the quicker you can see the Gleeman." Gleeman! Gleeman coming into the Two Rivers his whole life. And for one of those, he had been young enough to sit on Tam's shoulders to watch. To have one there actually during Beltane with his harp and flute and his stories and all. Emmons Field would still be talking about this festival 10 years off, even if there were not any fireworks. "Foolishness," Sen grumbled, but this fell silent at a look from Bran that had all the weight of the mayor's office in it. Tam leant against the side of his cart, using the brandy cask as a prop for his arm. "Yes, a Gleeman, and already here. According to Master Alvier, he's in a room at the inn right now. Arrived in the dead of night, he did." The innkeeper shook his head in disapproval. "Pounded on the front door until he woke the whole family. If not for the festival, I told him to stable his own horse and sleep in the stall with it, Gleeman or not. Imagine coming in the dark like that." Rand stared wonderingly. No one traveled beyond the village at night, not these days, and certainly not alone. The thatcher grumbled under his breath again. he doesn't wear a black coat, does he? Matt asked suddenly. Bran's belly shook with a chuckle. Black! His coat is like every other Gleeman's cloak I've ever seen. More patches than a cloak, and more colors than you can think of. Bran startled himself by laughing out loud, a laugh of pure relief. The menacing black-clad rider as a Gleeman was a ridiculous notion. He clapped his hand over his mouth in embarrassment. You see, Tam, Bran said, there's been little enough laughter in this village since winter came. Now even the Gleeman's cloak brings a laugh, and that alone is worth the expense of bringing him down from Baerlon. Say what you will, Sen spoke up suddenly. I still say it's a foolish waste of money, and those fireworks you all insisted on sending off for. So there are fireworks, Matt said. Sen was right on. They should have been here a month ago with the first peddler of the year, but there hasn't been a peddler, has there? But if he doesn't come by tomorrow, what are we going to do with them? Hold another festival just to set them off? That is, if he even brings them, of course. Sen, Tan sighed. You have as much trust as a Tarn ferryman. Where is he then? Tell me that, Althor. Why didn't you tell us? Matt demanded in a grieved voice. The whole village would have had as much fun with the waiting as with the Gleeman, or almost anyway. You can see how everybody's been just over the rumor of fireworks. I can see, Bran replied with a sidelong look at the Thatcher. And if I knew for sure how that rumor started... I lost my place, I'm sorry. If I thought, for instance, that somebody had been complaining about how much things cost where people could hear him when the things are supposed to be a secret... Sen cleared his throat. My bones are too old for this wind. If you don't mind, I'll just go see if Mistress Elvira won't fix me some mulled wine to take the chill off, Mayor. Althor. He was headed for the inn before he had finished, and as the door swung shut behind him, Bran sighed. Sometimes I think Nynaeve was right about... Well, that's not important now. You young fellows think for a minute. Everyone's excited about the fireworks, true, and that's only at a rumor. Think how they'll be if a peddler doesn't get here in time after all they're anticipating. And with the weather the way it is, who knows when he'll come. He'll be 50 times as excited about a Gleeman. And 50 times as bad as if he hadn't come. Rand said slowly. Even Beltane might not do much for people's spirits after that. You have a head on your shoulders when you choose to use it, Bran said. He'll follow you on the village council one day, Tam. Mark my words. He couldn't do much worse right now than somebody I could name. None of this is unloading my cart, Tam said briskly, handing the first cask of brandy to the mayor. I want a warm fire, my pipe, and a mug of your good ale. He hoisted the second brandy cask onto his shoulder. I'm sure Rand will thank you for your help, Matrim. Remember, the sooner the cider is in the cellar. As Tam and Bran disappeared into the inn, Rand looked at his friend. You don't have to help. Dav won't keep that badger long. Oh, why not? Mads said resignedly. Like your Da said, it's quicker when it's in the cellar. Picking up one of the casks of cider in both arms, he hurried toward the main inn at a half-trot. Maybe Egwena's around. Watching you stare at her like a pole-axed ox would be good as a badger any day. Okay. Bran paused in the act of unloading his bow and quiver in the back of the cart. He had really managed to put Egwene out of his mind. That was unusual in itself, but she would likely be around the inn somewhere, and there was not much chance he could avoid her. Of course, it had been weeks since he saw her last. Well, Matt called from in front of the inn. I didn't say I would do it by myself. You aren't in the village council yet. With a start, Rand took up a cask and followed. Perhaps she wouldn't be there after all. Oddly, that possibility did not make him feel any better. Okay, we are done with that chapter. I am not moving on until tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. I want to go back and look at previous ones, so keep sending questions and thoughts, and I will go through and do things. So, oh, thank you, Shadow Sister, for saying I am satisfactory. I appreciate that. I agree, don't talk about Nynaeve that way. It makes me angry. If the Keeper of the Bloody Chronicles is reading the White Tower lessons, thank you, Naren. Here's a good one for our mother. Anyone else notice that they referred to Senbui as dark as an old root? Pretty clear that Jordan was describing two rivers folk as being darker skinned. I know that's been a bit of a contentious view since the casting decisions were released, but I agree. I think they're darker skinned. Let's go to the bottom and see more thoughts. Randon and Gwen sitting in a tree and then she pushed him out. Yeah, I would too. Rand sucks. Please submit your comments and your hate mail to my DMs. You're more than welcome to. May.Narev, thank you. Hi, Van. What else we got? Okay, here's a question from our dear Merrick. What would have happened with the badger? Let's discuss. What do you think happened with that badger? I think he became the Dragon Reborn. Okay, you can just look at me like staring at these DMs. So this is one of the first this is one of the first times we get any inclination about kind of the Forsaken outside of the prologue, but we don't know who they are in that. It's one of the first. That badger is Bella in disguise. Bella's Asmodeon. Spoilers. Yeah, all of Rand's relationships are creepy, especially the one with the weirdo in his head. Well, I lost my train of thought. The badger joined the Trollocs and became their leader. I can see that. It had to be something about getting people away from food so they can snatch it. Matt needs a little meat on his bones. He's too skinny. I can see him just like being one of those teenagers that eats you out of your entire fridge all the time. So I would also like to put this out to have everybody say 10 nice things about Nynaeve Almira because she's the best, and 10 things about Rand because he sucks. I'll wait. The badger part was better than the whole Fael read. The badger is the dark one. Yeah. Thanks, Matt. God, Matt. And I hope you all enjoyed my color commentary. Those are the faces that I actually make when I read the book. I appreciate that. I think this needs to be a thing that we discuss what happened with the badger. Nynaeve has a great braid. She sure does. I used to have a braid and then I chopped my hair off. Now it's just purple and blue. My hair is basically the Amerlin seat. Nynaeve is the best character ever, absolutely. Nynaeve is an overbearing older sister, but I am also an overbearing older sister, so. Mad Ops moment. That's actually one of my favorites. I love him. Alright, my loves. I have to go back to work. And I love Nynaeve's Raising too. I want to keep doing this. Okay, I will meet you all in the reading room. Or a tavern of your own choice if you are following this and you are interested in joining or being added to one of those chats or starting a character or adopting one of our NPCs or just being involved in the community in general. Please reach out to myself, either at my handle or at Helena, Suana, or Ren. We're all the admins. Please feel free to Sure, I will save this to the story, so if you didn't catch it live, you can watch it again. And I hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and it was good seeing you. Thorarchy is my warder. So, have a good day, guys. I'll see you later.